On this video, I'm going to be showing you guys some very basic information regarding Packet Tracer's workspace. So I'm going to give you some basic information about Packet Tracer, how to navigate and how to pick some of the tools of the basic Packet Tracer tools. So the first thing we notice when we open Packet Tracer, this big white area. This big white area is called the workspace. That's where we're going to have our network topology and devices. If I want to, let's say I want to add a router. On the bottom part of Packet Tracer's screen, we can see that on the left corner right here, we have a few icons that define the classes of devices we can have. So for example, if I want to add a router, first thing I have to do is to click on the router submenu. And on this little window here, this little area here, Packet Tracer will show us which are the router models it has available to us. So if I want to add a 2811, I can simply click on it and pick a place on the workspace to place it. So now we have one 2811 router placed on our workspace. If I want to have another router, let's say an 1841, I can click on it and place it on the very same way we just did, or I can click and drag it to the workspace. It also works. So we have two routers on our workspace now. These submenus here, you can see we have routers, we have switches, we have hubs. There are some end devices as computers, phones. There is another submenu with connections, and the many types of cables Packet Tracer supports. So feel free to play with this a little to get comfortable with the submenus. If I want to configure the router, what I have to do is to click on it. Once I click on the router, a window pops out. In this case, router 2 window, router 2, that's where I clicked. With the router itself right here. As we can see, there's a power button right here. I can power it on and off. You see there is a little light. If I power it off, the light turns off. If I power it on, the light lights up. So it tells us if the router, whether or not the router is powered on or not. We can also see a few slots on the router right here where we can install cards. So if I want to install a serial card, for example, I would power off the router, come here, pick the serial card, drag it to the slot, and place it. There we go. The module is installed. As you can see, this list right here is the list of modules available in Packet Tracer to this specific type of router. So once the module is installed, I can power on the router again, and it's running. As you can see on the top of this window, there are a few other tabs. There is the config tab, which will allow us to do some sort of a configs on the router faster just by menus and typing in. And there is also on this tab, whatever we type will show us the configuration commands required to accomplish whatever we configure right here. If you don't want to use this, you can also go to the command line interface tab and type in the commands yourself. So that's how we configure a router in Packet Tracer. If you take a look at the top portion of your Packet Tracer screen, you're going to see several menus designed to help you creating your topology when creating your network. I'm not going to go through all these options. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the main ones. And the main options on these menus right here were actually placed in a bar, in the format of like an icon format. So these icons right here are probably the most, the tools and the information that you're going to use from these menus, you're going to use more often. The icons are very similar to other software you probably have used in the past. So it should be very straightforward. The first icon is going to help you to create a new Packet Tracer file. The second one is going to help you to open a Packet Tracer file. The third one, how to save your work, how to save a Packet Tracer file. That's the icon you're probably going to be using. You can send it to a printer. There is a activity wizard. We're not going to go through this, but it helps you to create your own activities, a Packet Tracer exercises and activities for your students. There is the copy and the paste icon, which help you to create copies of your devices. So for example, if I want to get a copy of 1841, I can select it, hit copy, and then the paste, and then I have another 1841. It's a copy of the first one. Very handy. The undo and redo keys. If I want to undo this copy and paste that I just did, I can click undo, and the copy is undone. There's the zoom in and zoom out. Zoom in, zoom out, and zoom reset. Bring us back to the default view. We can also use this tool right here to create a shape. Let's say you're creating a topology and you want to have a shape to help you represent your topology. You can simply pick a shape. So for example, I'm going to pick a circle and I'm going to fill the circle with red. So it's simply a matter of drawing a circle. Very handy as well. If we want a rectangle, same thing. We can change the color if necessary. Let's see. Now we have a rectangle. So the last icon here is going to be the icon used for if you want to create a custom device. Some options here. You can change the modules. You can change what is installed. I'm not going to go really too deep into this, but that's how it works. On the right side of the screen, there are a few more tools. These are the tools you're going to be using to work with the topology itself, to interact with the topology. So the first one is the select tool. If I want to pick a router, I can create a rectangle around it, and the router is selected. I can also select more than one device at the same time. Once they are once they are highlighted, I can move them around as a whole. The next tool is the move layout tool. So if you look at your workspace, you can see two scroll bars, one on the bottom and another one on the side. Just in case the workspace is bigger than it's shown here. It doesn't really fit on Packet Tracer screen, so that's why we have these scroll bars. So if your topology gets too big and doesn't fit here and you want to move around faster, you can use the move layout tool, which is going to let us moving our topology around and make it easier to see what we are doing. There is the next tool is like the notes. So with this tool we can place some notes. Let's say that this 2811 router is going to be running a Call Manager Express. I can just type in Call Manager Express CME, and now we have a label for this router. Just in case you need to represent something, you can use the notes tool. The red X here, or the delete tool, is going to be used to erase and get rid of devices. This tool, don't confuse this tool right here. It's called the inspect tool. Don't confuse this tool with the zoom in and out. This tool is going to be used to check information inside a device in a faster way. So if I add another router here in 1841 and I want to check its routing table, I can use the inspect tool, click on the router, and then Packet Tracer will allow me to pick one of the tables the router holds in the memory. So this is very handy. Let's say I want to see the routing table. Of course, it's going to be empty because the router is not configured, but all the routes would be shown here on router's routing table. You could also get in the router and type in the command to see the routing table, but using the inspect tool, this information is you can reach this information faster. This tool right here is called the resize tool, and it's going to be used for the shapes. So if you want to resize this rectangle, we select the resize tool and move the rectangle around so you can resize it. Same thing for the circle. Notice the little square, that's where we're gonna, the little tab we're gonna use to resize the shape. See, there is a little square here, there is a little square here. That's where you're gonna click to resize the shapes. These other two icons right here are used to add a PDU or a packet to the network. So if you click, this one is going to add a simple PDU. This one here is going to give you some more options on the PDU, so we call it complex PDU. So the basic idea is you click on them and you pick the source, and then you pick the destination. In this case, I don't have any other routers or switches here or PCs, but you can pick the destination, and once you click, Packet Tracer will try to send the PDU you created from the source to the destination. This is handy to make sure your network is properly configured, because if it isn't, the packet won't be able to make all the way through. So very handy tool as well. This was an overview on Packet Tracer Workspace and tools. If you want to learn more, make sure to check Packet Tracer Help menu, where you're going to find more information about all the topics mentioned on this video. This was the Packet Tracer Workspace overview video of the ITE 4.1 course.